Have you ever sensed something strange in your body and wondered if it might be a silent signal that something serious is approaching? It may seem unusual, but for many older adults, the body begins to give subtle alerts long before the full picture becomes clear. These signs don't usually come with drama or urgency. More often, they're gentle shift, easy to ignore, easy to blame on aging, but ignoring them could be a major oversight. In today's video, we'll explore 5 signs that nearly all seniors tend to show within a year of passing away. These aren't just clinical symptoms listed in medical journals. They're real patterns observed by those on the front lines, nurses, caregivers, physicians, and family members who have been close during someone's final chapter. While none of these signs are absolute predictors, noticing them early can give you the opportunity to respond thoughtfully, find peace, or even change the outcome. You might recognize one of these signs in a loved one, or perhaps even in yourself. Either way, awareness gives you the upper hand, the power to act, to reflect, and to use your remaining time with purpose and understanding. Please watch this video until the end. It might reveal something you've missed. And more importantly, it will help you meet that knowledge with clarity instead of fear. Let's begin. Number 1, growing sensitivity to temperature. One of the less familiar but very real signs of nearing the final stage of life is heightened discomfort with temperature and physical touch. A person may start to feel cold even in warm conditions, or begin complaining that soft blankets feel rough or too hot. Light sensations like a breeze, a bit of water, or even casual contact can become unpleasant or overstimulating. At first, this may seem like a trivial complaint, but underneath it is a more serious shift. As the body begins to slow down, circulation weakens. Blood flow becomes limited, especially in the hands and feet. The skin thins out, body fat lessens, and temperature regulation declines. What once felt fine might now feel unbearable. These aren't imagined reactions. They're biological changes, and they often begin to show up months before a major decline. You might see someone start layering on clothes, even when it's not cold, or avoiding showers because the water feels harsh. For some, even a bed sheet can become too rough to tolerate, leaving them restless at night. This discomfort isn't just physical. It reflects deeper struggles within the body. Take Paul, a 79-year-old military retiree who used to enjoy chilly evenings outside. Over time, his daughter noticed that Paul stopped stepping outdoors. Instead, he stayed wrapped up inside, wearing thick socks, wool gloves, and buried under multiple blankets. Still, he said he couldn't shake the chill. "It's like the cold is in my bones," he'd explain, even when the house was a warm 75 degrees. He also began wincing when touched and disliked certain fabrics. Months later, Paul was diagnosed with heart failure. In hindsight, these sensory shifts were his body's quiet way of preparing for something deeper. This sensitivity often affects emotions too. As the body loses energy, the mind becomes more easily overwhelmed. Bright lights, loud noises, and too many people may feel exhausting. The world that once felt inviting can now feel intrusive. This withdrawal from stimulation often mirrors a broader emotional retreat that comes near the end. If you notice this happening in someone you care about, the best thing you can do is show compassion. Modify their surroundings, soft lighting, gentle fabrics, warm and stable temperatures, and ask them what makes them comfortable. These thoughtful changes might seem small, but they can make an enormous difference during a time when comfort and peace matter most. Number 2, deep tiredness that doesn't lift with sleep. Feeling tired after a long day is normal. But when you wake up already exhausted, when daily activities like brushing your hair or tidying the house feel like monumental tasks, that's when you know there's something deeper at play. For many older adults, ongoing, unexplained tiredness can be one of the most telling early signs that the body is beginning to slow down in a more lasting way. This isn't the kind of fatigue caused by a hectic schedule or an uncomfortable bed. It's a deep, full-body exhaustion, a constant draining heaviness that remains no matter how much rest you get. You may find yourself dozing off throughout the day, only to wake up feeling even more depleted. Mental fog, a sense of detachment and lack of interest in once loved activities often accompany it. Often, this kind of fatigue is tied to things like long-term inflammation or reduced oxygen levels in the bloodstream, both common in later life stages. As the heart and lungs begin to work less efficiently, cells receive less oxygen, and the body starts conserving its resources, scaling back how much energy it puts out. It's more than just being tired. It's the body's quiet way of preparing for a deeper form of rest. Consider the experience of Linda, a 74-year-old woman known for her active involvement at church and in her community. Over several months, she began skipping choir practices and stepping away from her volunteer roles. She told friends she was feeling a bit drained, but behind the scenes, even simple tasks like walking to the mailbox left her winded. Despite sleeping well and maintaining a healthy diet, her fatigue only grew worse. Eventually, doctors found that her heart was weakening, and this relentless tiredness was one of the earliest signals that her body was gradually shutting down. Chronic exhaustion like this should never be ignored. It's one of the body's most sincere messages, and it's usually pointing to something real. When your energy starts to disappear, it's not always just age catching up. It may be your body asking for care, support, or even acceptance. If you're still here and finding this video helpful, please write number 2 in the comments to let me know. And if you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing so and clicking the bell icon to stay updated with our future content. Your encouragement helps us continue making videos that guide and uplift. Now, let's continue. Number 3, quiet shifts in how a person speaks and uses their voice. When someone's voice becomes softer, slower, or more delicate than it once was, it's easy to assume it's simply age. But for many older adults, especially in their final year, these changes in speech can signal something more meaningful. The volume of their voice, the clarity of their words, their willingness to join a conversation. All of these may slowly change as the body starts prioritizing essential systems and conserving energy. These signs are easy to miss because they usually happen gradually. A person who used to say good morning with energy now barely manages a whisper. You might notice them pausing between thoughts more often, leaving sentences unfinished, or repeating themselves frequently. In some cases, they may speak so little that their silence becomes the loudest sign. These shifts aren't always caused by memory issues, though memory can play a part. More often, it's due to the weakening of small muscles that control the throat, mouth, and breathing. Like the rest of the body, those muscles fatigue, and when someone has limited strength, speaking clearly or loudly becomes a low priority. Take Richard, an 80-year-old former school principal whose strong voice once commanded attention. His wife Margaret began to notice his speech had become weak and raspy. He stopped contributing during family discussions, and when he did speak, it was soft and brief. "Just my throat acting up," he'd say. But eventually, his voice faded almost completely. Within a year, his health declined dramatically, and doctors confirmed his vocal changes were part of his body's overall decline. You might also notice pauses in their speech, struggles to express thoughts, or mild slurring, especially later in the day when energy dips. It's not just about talking, it's about conserving effort. Number 4, gentle but noticeable changes in how someone breathes. Breathing is something we rarely think about until it starts to feel different. Breathing changes in later life tend to appear gradually in ways that are easy to overlook but deeply meaningful. At first, they may seem like nothing, just a bit of shortness of breath or a quiet sigh. But if you know how to read the signs, they often speak volumes. In many older adults, these shifts begin as subtle adjustments. Breathing may grow more shallow or slightly irregular. Some people develop a faint wheeze or experience occasional short gasps, especially while lying down. Others begin to pause between breaths or let out frequent, noticeable sighs. These may not sound alarming, but they're often the body's way of quietly revealing that the heart and lungs are working harder than they used to. As we grow older, Our lungs lose their stretch, and the muscles that support breathing become weaker. When the heart begins to falter, it delivers less oxygen to the body, and the breathing system tries to adapt. These adaptations may be nearly invisible at first, but over time they become more pronounced, especially during quiet moments or sleep. In hospice care, nurses frequently note what's called Stokes breathing. It's a pattern marked by rhythmic changes, fast breathing followed by slower breaths, then brief pauses before the cycle begins again. While it can be distressing to witness, it's not usually painful or even noticed by the person themselves. It's simply the body managing its energy as best it can. Take Margaret, a 76-year-old woman whose daughter noticed something different in their phone calls. Margaret's breathing seemed heavier, though she brushed it off, saying she'd just walked a few steps. Eventually, she began ending conversations sooner, saying she felt too tired to talk. Months later, her family realized she'd been showing signs of respiratory strain for a while, but because she never complained, no one caught it until her condition quickly declined. Not every shift in breathing is due to aging, of course. Conditions like asthma, allergies, sleep disorders, or medication side effects can also cause changes. But when these shifts persist and come without a clear explanation, they deserve close attention. They're often signs that the body's systems are being pushed to their limits. On a deeper level, breath also reflects emotion. As someone nears the final stages of life, anxiety or inner restlessness can surface, even if they don't say it aloud. That unease often shows up as shortness of breath, chest tightness, or a sense of unease. The body and mind are linked, and one always influences the other. If someone you love is starting to breathe differently, even in small ways, take a moment to observe. Don't just hear the breath, feel its rhythm, depth, and ease. These quiet signals often reveal more than words can. You don't need to jump to conclusions, but do stay aware. These signs may be the body's gentle request for kindness. Slower starts to the day, less rushing, and more time to simply be. It's not a call for fear, it's a request for compassion. And when recognized early, these signals can bring a sense of peace not just to the person going through them, but to everyone who loves and supports them. If you're still with us and found this section meaningful, drop number 4 in the comments to show you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and click that button along with the bell icon so you'll stay updated with every video we release. Your support helps us continue making content that encourages, informs, and inspires. Let's keep going. Number 5, a noticeable disinterest in daily habits and self-care. When someone who used to take care in their appearance suddenly stops combing their hair, changing clothes, or engaging in everyday activities, it's usually more than simple forgetfulness. It marks a deeper shift. At first, the signs may be small, a skipped shower, a missed meal, but with time it becomes more obvious that the drive to stay engaged with daily life is fading. For many older adults, this disconnection begins in the final phase of life. And while it might appear like they've stopped caring, the reality is often different. More often, they've simply run low on energy, physically and emotionally. What used to be simple daily routines like dressing, brushing teeth, or preparing food can begin to feel like too much. They may seem unnecessary, burdensome, or no longer worth the effort. The things that once gave their day a rhythm. For many, this shift feels less like neglect and more like something they no longer have the strength to keep up with. It's not dramatic, not shouted aloud, but rather a gentle kind of release, a quiet stepping away. Behind this change lies a powerful emotional and physical transformation. The body begins to slow. Fatigue becomes a constant visitor. The mind starts drifting into memories, into silence, into moments of stillness, and slowly, the need to keep up appearances, to hold tight to daily routines, begins to fade. This isn't always about depression, though it can resemble it. Depression often carries pain, feelings of sadness, emptiness, or regret. But what we see here is different. It's more of a calm withdrawal, a subtle sense that the small details of daily life just don't carry the same weight anymore. They're not crying for attention, they're simply stepping back. Take Edna, for example, an 81-year-old who was once known for her elegance. She never left the house without earrings, always had her hair done, and wore coordinated outfits for even the simplest errands. But her daughter began noticing changes. Edna stopped dressing up, left her hair unstyled, and sometimes wore the same gown for several days. When asked, she'd simply smile and say, "I just don't feel the need for all that anymore." Her appetite lessened. Her once immaculate home began to gather dust. It wasn't long before a terminal illness, quietly progressing in the background, was finally diagnosed. In truth, Edna's body had started preparing long before anyone realized. When someone begins to let go of hygiene or withdraws from daily routines, it's often because their inner clock has slowed. Priorities shift inward, time feels different, longer, softer, and less urgent. And with that, the pressure to maintain the day-to-day falls away. This can be a form of self-preservation, a way to conserve energy for what matters most: loved ones, memories, peace. If you see these changes in someone close to you, don't rush to push them back into routines. Instead, respond with kindness. Offer help not as correction but as care. Sit with them. Gently help with grooming as an act of affection, not obligation. Share a meal as a moment of connection, not nutrition. These small efforts are no longer about tasks. They're about love. And if you feel this shift in yourself, please don't feel guilt or shame. It doesn't mean you're careless or weak. It may simply mean that your spirit is asking for stillness. You may be entering a quieter chapter, one that values rest, reflection, and a softer way of living. This change is easy to misunderstand, but when approached with compassion, it tells a story of life gently winding down, not in defeat, but with quiet dignity. Final reflections. If anything in today's video spoke to your heart, please know you're not alone. The signs we've shared, fatigue, softer speech, shifting breath, or disengagement from routine, are not just quirks of aging. They are the body's subtle messages. Messages that life is shifting and that attention, compassion, and care are needed more than ever. For some, these signs are a reason to seek medical insight. For others, they're a moment to pause, reflect, and realign priorities. But above all, they are not signs of giving up. They are signs of tuning into what matters most, to presence, to peace, to love. Whether you're noticing these changes in a loved one or within yourself, your awareness is powerful. It opens the door to deeper conversations, wiser choices, and more peaceful endings. Because when we truly listen to what the body is saying, we can answer not with fear, but with grace, compassion, and dignity. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't have to fix what can't be fixed. Sometimes, just showing up, just being there is more than enough. That quiet presence may be the greatest gift of all. Thank you for being here today. We'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment below sharing one insight you took from this video and how it touched your life. Your voice matters, and reading your comments encourages us deeply. If this video helped you in any way, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who may need it. Your support keeps us going and allows us to keep creating heartfelt content to inform and inspire. Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you again in the next video.